Oh, sorry, just a nerd with a sock. Um, welcome to a special generation movie. We're gonna so a couple rules. My name is JW Colwell. This is Rich Drees. We're gonna talk about Deadpool and Wolverine today, but we are not gonna get any spoilers. We're not gonna talk about any of the cool shit that you're not prepared for, or any of the stuff that would ruin any experience for anybody.
Hmm.
I
Have we decided if we are going to talk spoilers on our regular Monday night show to give some people a chance at
I,
least to
I,
see it?
I don't know if that's I'm of the mindset I'll give everybody till Thursday of next week before we maybe Thursday next week or
That's fair. That's fair.
you know what I mean, like I'll give you a full week and then after a week all the shit's going to be out anyway. I mean all the shit's already out at San Diego Comic-Con. But a lot of it is out, which is
But then again, at that Deadpool Wolverine panel last night, they showed everybody the movie. Hall
so
H at 6:30 last night got the movie.
super
If you
cool.
were lucky enough to get it.
And also like I said, I think this is not a review that you and I are doing as a um, spoiler heavy diving into the script or anything. This is more our feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more how we feel about what the movie does, what it tries to accomplish, what I think its overarching role in the MCU's future, and whether or not we might get something else. Who knows? But what I want to wish. Let's see. We got a comment. Let's see. Good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Joe Ridgely. I thought
Afternoon, Joseph.
I thought I'd squeeze a review in before our meeting. So what I want to say is, I think you're going to hear a lot of people talking that it's funny. It is. They're going to hear a lot of people talking that it's gratuitous. It is. You're going to
Yeah.
hear all of that stuff. You're going to hear it's bloody. It's good fun. And it's all those things. But I think what. And you and I had to talk about this 2 weeks ago, and I feel really great about it. About our talk, we talked about expectations versus what Marvel product can deliver. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes Marvel product cannot deliver the sheer weight and volume of expectations of Marvel fans, right?
Yeah.
My expectations were, will this put a nice tight knit bow on the 20th Century Fox movies? And it is a meta love letter to the Marvel before we got the cinematic universe, right?
Yeah.
It's
It, it's also a meta commentary on. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Continue your thought, but I
I'm sorry. No,
lost.
that's okay. No, I'm really. I think it's a love letter to the Marvel that happened before we got Tony Stark, before
Mm-hmm.
we got any coherent thing that we're going to be 35 movies in. Yeah, we're not 35. It's hyperbole, but we're going to be over 30 movies in on a franchise that continues to build on itself and tries to build and tries to create new characters, bring characters out. But before that, there was a really it wasn't a low point, but there were good Marvel films that occurred before the cinematic universe occurred, right? And I think
Yeah.
this is a celebration, a love letter, you might not have enjoyed Rise of the Silver Surfer. It may have had flaws, but guess what? Some people did, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You may not have enjoyed the Fantastic Four reboot, and it was bad. But you know what? Somewhere someone liked it. You know what I mean? And it is
Virtually
especially
every movie is somebody's favorite movie, with maybe the exception of Barfly. But
I was gonna say Cannery Row.
for the
I was gonna say
punchline there.
Cannery Row. Cannery Row is
Oh,
an absolute fucking bummer of a movie. Um, but but like I said, I think it's a meta love letter. I think it's if you really enjoyed the Marvel Fox movies
it's
and
also
other franchises that you know
yes.
that we
It
didn't really.
also
Go ahead.
thematically, metatextually comments on the the Fox, the 20th Century Fox acquisition by Disney.
Yeah.
It comments on intellectual property and how it is treated by studios in a way. It talks about business mergers and if it and the ending of certain phases of franchises. And I understand
there's dick jokes. I don't want to get anybody. There are a lot of dick jokes.
A lot of dick jokes and a lot of gory, splashy, fun violence. But I like that this movie, it could have been just a very superficial, let's team these two up, tell the dick jokes, have the fights, and, have a little bit of an emotional core there as well. But the story is so very specifically tied to the idea that
a cinematic universe. How it is hard to contain.
These movies place within that grander idea, that grander ongoing growing of the IP and everything. And I think that's what makes it very interesting to me, outside of just having a lot of fun with it.
It's super amount of fun. Ryan Reynolds he was born to play this character. Like there's no other person, right? Like, we talk about casting in the Marvel universe. He is a one of one, right? He is like there might be another Deadpool down the road, but nobody's jumping at it's like Wolverine. You're not jumping at the chance to play Wolverine. I mean, you might, but so what I want to talk about really quick, I also do love, there are some incredibly touching moments. One occurs by a campfire. I've seen it twice already.
Ditto.
So I feel it's my favorite part of the movie, aside from the reveal. Like, there are three. I'm a wrestling fan. I know you know this, Rich. Aside from three super pop moments, there are three huge pop moments that no audience will be able to contain itself. None. I've been with two audiences. You can't expect it. You don't see what's happening, and then it happens, and you're like, "Holy fuck!" Right? And that's the word I uttered under my breath, maybe out loud.
In my second screening, which was the first screening on Thursday at 3:00, when one thing happened, theater was kind of like almost like gasp, silence, and one dude over to my left goes, "Oh, get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's there are a lot of get the F out of here moments in this movie. It is fun. It is gory. It has, I would say, it's got a good villain or two. You know what I mean? It's got one cutscene at the end, all the way at the end of the credits. Although what they play in the credits is something so amazingly emotional, and what this particular franchise, what Deadpool has done, and what this particular Deadpool Wolverine movie has done, the music it ties to Deadpool and Wolverine, and to like the Fox stuff, the music it ties to it works so resoundingly well.
Yes.
That I don't know that we will ever be able to look at certain songs again. And I wouldn't be surprised if like we looked online today, and a bunch of songs are
inching their way back up the Spotify.
It's in their way back up the charts. Reynolds is great.
The previous two Deadpool movies have been really good with their needle drops, usually in the form of just for iconic or ironic, jokes. But right at the end, and I think this is what you were referring to the most. It's such sweet sincerity about it.
Yes.
That
it's hard. The credits stuff, right? Yes. There is such an austere, sweet sincerity about what we were so many years ago, right? And that's, I think, the love letter to the Fox Marvel Cinematic, to other Marvel Cinematics before we got Tony Stark, is the key to the movie, right? It is, if you watch X-Men, and or X2, which is I think it's the better of the two, mainly because it has Nightcrawler, but that's just personal pitch. But or if you watch The Last Stand, or if you watch any of those old X-Men movies, or if you watched Daredevil and Elektra and all these other movies that were Marvel before Marvel was Marvel,
Yeah.
right? And I think I would say, Ryan Reynolds gets all the great lines. Although I gotta tell you, I think the emotional center of the movie is Jackman, and not only is he hitting levels that are not low, like they're different from Logan, right? Logan is as a comic book art, it's
They're similar,
high.
but there's different shading that they're doing at this time.
Yeah, but he hits all of those. He hits all of those out of the goddamn park.
Yes.
And it has got to be the hardest job in the business to be the straight man to fucking Ryan Reynolds. I would imagine it's like, I was going back to my classic movie roots, right? It's got to be like how Dean Martin felt when he was with Jerry Lewis. You know what I mean? Like, this guy gets all the fucking laughs, man.
This guy is always on, and I'm
an actor. I'm an actual actor that just kind of isn't on all the time. But in this movie he is, and we get. What I was impressed with was, and again, we're not going to talk on them, but I'm going to talk about them. The cameos, almost all of them, Rich, hit. I was talking about this last night with somebody. They all land. Like, it is very rare when you have a movie with this much meta and this many expectations. It is very rare when all of the things land, and the ones that you weren't even expecting, or like, again, you're not ready for it. You're just not ready for it. I turned to my friend because I had already seen it, and I turned to him, and he's like, "Who are the others?" There's a sequence called The Others, right?
Yes.
And not giving anything away, but like, who are they? And you're just not ready. You're literally not ready in the theater when it happens, and then it happens, and you're still kind of sitting there talking, mumbling to yourself all of the things about that you and I'll give you an example, a conversation we can have online that we can't have during this review, but all of the history for one particular film where it was all pressure on all sides, and it effectively ended somebody's career, right? It effectively started one moment, and then it was the beginning of the end, right? And to remember all of those things and process it, and then to be sitting outside of a theater talking to a bunch of friends. I have friends that have younger sons who all have friends that go to the movies now, and to explain and process that particular, how generous it is for all of the things that happened in film history, for this movie's history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would agree. And I kind of don't want to keep talking a lot in like code almost. I will say, because it's going to probably frustrate people who haven't seen it yet. I will say there was one thing, and I mentioned it to you when we talked after the movie, after you'd seen it, that when I saw it at the press screening, I literally shouted and punched up in the air because I was just like, it was something I had kind of, jokingly speculated about months ago. And
I'm sorry, not to get talking code and whatever, but they all land. They all land.
Yeah,
every one of the cameos.
Yep.
So the plot's pretty basic. Got to save the universe. We're in a multiverse now, so everything's got to be saved. I do, one of the things that is kind of out there, and we the TVA is involved. So season 1 and 2 of Loki are involved because, as we often find out about some Marvel characters, Deadpool's special because he can break the fourth wall and he can do all kinds of fun stuff. but Reynolds is pitch perfect. You got to give Reynolds a lot of credit for being able to shepherd all three of these movies into existence. Um, kind of like a sheer will of a performer to
Yes.
give an audience what they want. And what they want, Rich, $35 million last night in an in a roughly a 10-hour span last night from 3 to 12.
Half of
35
that
mil.
was market sales, but
Yeah, but like I said, it's what I think what most people are going to come out of. It is meta. It is very jokey, especially if you're up on current events with all the performers involved. But it is amazingly heartfelt, and there's a lot of stuff. Like I imagine that Jackman kind of came back and said, "I just don't want to be the walking gorilla that does some things." So make sure this Wolverine has arc. Um, but it's laugh out loud funny. There's just
oh gosh,
and
yes.
especially if you are somebody that's seen all the Marvel films, know all the X-Men films, know any of the Marvel universe before Tony hit, and then anything after Tony hit is also fair game. And it's a load of fun, and it's the best fun you're gonna have at a theater with a group of people. And that's the thing. I want to stress this. It's Friday at 3:20. I hope you're listening to us, but you should be really getting tickets and grabbing a big bunch of friends.
You can get tickets. I mean,
yeah, we had a interesting.
Insane.
It was a little cray cray last night at the theater. I did not get a Wolverine or a Deadpool popcorn bucket. They had none left when I got there at 4:00 yesterday. So I'm a little pissed about that. The idea that we don't have enough to go around, and now the secondary market's going to be ridiculous. But overall, I think
we talked about that a little bit last night on our phone call, where I was kind of like, yeah, I see where it generates excitement, but if you only send 20 to 25 of these buckets to each theater, they're going to sell out like that. And you're not just creating excitement, you're also creating disappointment. It's a very two-edged sword there. And I would rather see them disappoint less people than kind of help to sustain a secondary market for these things as collectibles that they're not even going to see a nickel from on those. Somebody sells one of these new popcorn buckets for $100. They're not going to see anything past their initial, whatever their initial profit was off of the $40 bucket to begin with. So
yeah, it's a weird thing. I will say the movie itself, it runs 2 hours 7 minutes. So for current MCU movies, about 25 minutes shorter than normal, right? So and that is something that I think we can talk about, the editing and everything that goes into this movie. It moves fast. Like first act, second act, boom, third act. It's moving, and once it gets going, it doesn't stop. So and aside from a couple occasional Deadpool jokes where he's throwing jokes about the length of current films in cinemas, which is as you and I have talked about, like movies are ridiculously long because we're trying to squeeze everything in. I guess I don't know, but the movie runs fast. 2 hours 7 minutes is about right. I was thinking about like great movies that are 2 hours and 7 minutes and under. How important that actually is to be able to make a movie, tell your story, and get the fuck out of Dodge. There's something remarkable can be said there. I want to give Sean Levy a lot of credit. I don't have a lot of faith in him as a director, but this is indeed the idea of you give enough paint to somebody, they can possibly produce a Picasso, right? You give enough quality paint and quality materials, because Jackman and Reynolds are, they've played these characters for almost 15 years. 25 years. So it's easy to work with. Cameos are great. Cameos all land, especially if you're like if you've been into the movies before the cinematic universe, um, the other cameos that land for the cinematic universe all work. It apparently incorporates, Deadpool into the MCU going forward. That's kind of not left on the table. He's definitely in a position where he is involved in MCU things going forward. Um, and I could easily see him being somebody they crack out every 3 or 4 years to try to make a sense of what the latest superhero movies are. Right? What's happening? Kind of like he's like a Mad Magazine that you can actually just kind of like. I'm sorry. I'm on a Mad Magazine kick because I went into a grocery store and they had summer blockbusters by Mad Magazine in a giant opus
Mm-hmm.
for $15. Best
Not bad.
$15 I've ever spent. It included a fully color. The reason I got it is because it included a fully colorized Raiders of the Lost Ark section.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I'm disappointed that Mad Magazine doesn't do like new original stuff anymore. It's just like repackaging some of the old stuff, and that's gonna kind of run out of steam. At
Kyle says, just get to the theater today, people. Again, you
Yep.
can. I think if you don't have your tickets already, though, you might run into some problems, especially in smaller places, smaller theaters. I know that my friend that I went with last night, his son tried to get tickets to the Disney Springs AMC, and they were sold out from 3 o'clock to 3 in the morning. Yeah, hence the $35 million in one night. Just so we're clear, basic box office on an opening night is a good night is 10, 12. Good nights, amazing nights, 35 in one night. And then Kyle also says, Deadpool will be great in a Jubilee movie. No, she won't. She won't be in her own movie. We've talked. So I don't know if anybody's watching, if they care, but Kyle and I and Missy DeFina, Kyle's wife, and I have a huge bet that if Jubilee ever gets her own movie, Rich, I have to eat a hat on camera.
What's the time limit on that? I mean, maybe eventually 40 years from now, but is it like within the first 5 years?
I don't know the way they're talking about it.
An official MCU X-Men movie or something like that. I think you need to quantify
No,
that.
she can't. No, it can't be. She can't be in an X-Men movie. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, what's the starting time where she's gonna, from now
Oh,
until?
it was probably from a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Forward.
You need to.
I would imagine it will be until you people put me in my film grave. Furiosa, by the way. Anyway, sorry. That's strictly. But yeah, I think the magic of the movie is that it will it'll cut across. I think the interesting thing is I was at a theater last night. There were lots of kids, like way more kids that need to ask questions about what pegging is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's on the parents. I if you think your kid's good for it, fine. That's not my.
I was amazed though. I came walking out and I was like, "There's a lot of fucking kids in the lobby with like Deadpool shit." It's like, okay,
yeah,
different time.
It
makes
makes me
p.m.
wonder.
last night, maybe
Makes
30
me wonder
people.
what kind of overhaul the rating system needs. Then, if the rating system is for parents, and parents are absolutely fine with taking their kids to a movie that is allegedly restricted to children under 18, unless they're accompanied by an adult.
Again, though,
maybe.
the
adults are going with them, but does that mean something along the lines of maybe the MPAA needs to kind of rejigger their thing here?
I think the problem isn't the MPAA. The problem is the MPAA, but the problem is also that people are much more worried about pegging than they are worried about Deadpool and Wolverine literally cutting everything to shreds.
True.
Everything shredded, pulpy, blood everywhere, blood spraying the camera, blood spraying
Mhm.
them. You know, I wear my red suit so you can't see the blood. Like, it's not a joke.
No,
Um,
it is not.
it is not. And so I think, you know, overall the movie is a meta dream for fans. It's going to be wildly popular. I don't know that it gets. I don't know that it gets it back to Marvel back to a billion, but it's gonna try hard for an R-rated movie, real hard. And it literally has nothing that I think can get in its way until maybe Alien. But the only real thing that's even close to being a mega movie like this is September 6th when Beetlejuice opens, right? I mean, those are the only, you know, movies that are
It does pretty much have clear run to be
clear run
rampant across.
through the end of the summer to dominate until Labor Day. So,
Mhm.
I mean, there are genre things that are going to be out, and there are things that people,
And
you
and
know,
I dare say this is a fun movie that folks will probably want to go back to more than once while it's still in the theater.
just for the
And if
jokes, just for the cameo. People are going to go back 2 and 3 times just for
mhm,
the cameos.
Marvel's smart, they're not going to
Give them
announce,
away.
hey, as of September 15th, it's going to be on pay-per-view or whatever, because that I think would undercut it. But let it
I
fully
don't
do
think.
its
I don't think. I
theatrical
think
run into September or whenever they decide to end it. End it.
Disney's been getting smarter. I don't
And
know if you pay attention. They've all of a
eh,
sudden released a Pixar movie that grossed over $1 billion because
whoops.
somehow Pixar movies are great. They figured that out this year. They somehow
Mhm.
figured that out that if they didn't announce their movies were going directly to Disney Plus, that somehow they were going to make, you know, $1.5 billion. So
Mhm.
I Disney I don't understand sometimes, and then Disney I understand sometimes. But I think overall it's a pretty great movie. It's a lot of fun. It's more fun with like just hearing the audience buzz about as things
Yeah.
happen or rolled out, or people who show up like getting giddy about somebody showing up. Um, and
I
there are
mean,
these.
besides you, I've talked to like four other friends who've reached out after they had gone to see it just yesterday with like, "Oh my god, that was amazing. I can't believe you were able to sit on not mentioning anything in your
It
in
had to be
your
hard. I know
you know,
we've done a show and you've been on our loud nerdy. I know it must have been
yeah,
difficult
it's
because
I said to you afterwards, I was like, I
the
can't
one
believe I kept my
yeah
mouth shut
the one
for the
is
whole
something that I don't know. The one cameo is for me is the supreme. Like there's two or three that are mind-numbingly great.
thing.
But the one is like one I didn't even. Nobody can see it coming. You're not ready. When it
Hmm.
happens, you're not prepared.
Oh, good God, no.
Like, and it's the way, and again, it's because you and I know more about infighting and backfighting and how
Yeah,
these movies are
it,
made and how the sausage is made. And this is
yeah. If you're
so
kind of,
it's a
I don't want to say terminally online, but if you kind of, do follow the
yeah, and that
development
the
of,
particular thing we're talking about was particularly vitrolic. It was
yes,
it was it was a nasty situation that all of
and
a
something
sudden
else was a much different situation that made me happy too to see that thing. But that's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, oh, I think I know. Yeah, the two are
Yeah,
there's two that like you just go and and the way it's so meta and the way they figure out exactly how they're gonna say the things they want to say about something is absolutely perfect. And again though, explaining it to a pack of 20 somethings last night, they're like, no, really? I'm like, yeah, she was on the other foot, and then it wasn't, and then she was on the other foot, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And that generosity. That's the other thing about Reynolds and Jackman, and I think why they work so well together. There is an inherent generosity to them as performers, right? Jackman has like all of his skill and trade is in coming up in musicals. You have to rely on your scene partners. You have to rely on the people around you. I think they're really good performers that happen to play two of the most important comic book characters in the last 40 years, right? They just happen to play them, but they also happen to be two generous actors who have kind of plied their wares in not being dicks. Like you never hear that they're bad people behind the scenes, right? Always a joy to work with and all these other things. So I think, Deadpool and Wolverine is everything that you want it to be. And it Kyle writes, 5:30 show last night was about 30 people. Fair, but not every show is going to be filled. But not every show is going to also like the IMAX screen. We have an IMAX screen and we have a Limax, I should say, and a Adobe screen, and they're sold out through the weekend. Like when I say sold out, all that's available in the IMAX is the front row. No, nobody wants those seats. And then Kyle also says, needs 3 times in the theater just for background catches. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to see it again. I'm not going to lie. I want to see it again. It was pleasant. It's a pleasant movie-going experience. And it's more pleasant when you have more people to watch it with. Like, if you're watching it in a crowd, hearing that was nice. We haven't been to a movie in a while, Rich, where you had those... You know what it reminded me a little bit of? Like they're different. They land differently, but it's very reminiscent of Cat picking up Moiner, right? Or, you know what I mean? Or On Your Left, you know what I mean? Like just sparkly Marvel Circle. And just so it's just very reminiscent. I will say I like the villains too. And I'm gonna say this with all truth, and I told this to Rich last night. If they don't have a Bond, they should think about McFadden for Bond. They really should, because I just think there's something about him that's not only like he can play Weasley, sure, but I think there's something dangerous about him that's not like in a completely normal way, right? He's always somewhat dangerous on Succession. He's dangerous here. You know what I mean? Like, and I think is she from she's from The Crown, correct? The girl that plays the villain, the bald villain that we've only seen in pictures. She's very good too. Like it's so the villains are good.
In terms of just seating and stuff, and this is anecdotal. I just kind of looked through all of the Cinemark showings at my local Cinemark from now until 11 o'clock at night. And the main stadium seating is almost always entirely sold out or just has like 1 or 2 spots, single seats left. And then you have like those 2 rows in front of the stadium seating. Usually the second row and it's just like stuff left in that first row. And that's like 10 or 12 screenings between like now and 10 o'clock tonight.
I'm going to look at mine. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look at my...
11 o'clock is when they start to
peter out. Like 11. Yeah, 11. Because nobody wants to go to the movies at 11 o'clock at night. I don't anymore. Like I used to. Like, you know what? Like, I think it's funny. You and I used to go to late movies and be like, this is great. Now it's like, ugh.
I'm too old for this crap.
I'm too old for this. I was kind of going to bed.
It was at 8:30 at night, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I went to a 7:15 showing. I got out about 9:45, but another group of friends was in a 7:45 showing. So I stayed the half hour. I didn't get home till like 11:40. I was like, this is the latest I've been out. And I don't want to scream old, but I will. It was the latest I've been out in a while. Okay, so I'm looking at my IMAX theater right now. There's literally 1, 2 in the upper seating and first 2 rows, but that's it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, it's it's bleak. Let's look at a 7 p.m. show, just a regular show. Um, as I look, 7 p.m. show, all the stadium is full. Lower bottom is okay. So
Yeah,
so
it's
they're gonna
crazy.
be seats. Well, there's so many screens. Like the showings at my AMC in Altamont. Ready? It's had today 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 performances today. 31. Five of which were in Dolby, and let's see, one, two, ooh, um, 5 in IMAX. So 30 showings. That is one thing I don't. I think it started in the summer of '89 when everything was playing on 23 screens at once. Obviously it cuts down on the amount of showings people can get to, or the amount of time a movie can last. Over the years, we found we got better numbers for Rocky at 9 p.m. and not midnight. We even did 2 shows at night, and 9 would sell out, and 12 would get half of that. Well, yeah, the folks who love Rocky are getting older. But also, I just think, you know, any adult, if you hit 20, 25, if you're out past midnight, it's like, and then if you hit 30, 35, 40, it's like if I'm out past midnight, like the next day is like, first half of the next day is gone. Like it's,
Yeah.
I mean, not today because I had a lot of stuff to do. But so overall, we've gone about 40 minutes. Oh, everything that you could say about Deadpool and Wolverine. Go see it. Have a blast. Uh, and the heartfelt, austere, as you said, austere, kind of feelings for the older movies. It's nice. It's nice to love things unconditionally.
Yes.
It's nice. It's nice to not hate everything. And I saw a quote from Kevin Smith. He's had a heart attack and he's losing weight and he's trying to do other things, but he almost he had another like something happen medically, and he basically said in no uncertain terms, I don't have time to hate things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the things I'm gonna hate. I'm basically gonna keep to myself because it's not worth my time to go, hey, I hate this. When you're younger, you can hate everything, right? But I once told somebody on the Indie Escape Network, they were like, why do you like these movies? I'm like, I'm going to like the movie. I'm going because I want to love the movie I'm going to see. I'm not going for the movie to fail. And when a movie like this succeeds, it's a good thing because it means like everybody that's part of this kind of wonky machine that is the Deadpool franchise has somehow gotten out from under the corporate boot that says irreverence and snarkiness and dirty jokes and violence, gratuitous violence. Yeah, maybe we don't want all those. Maybe we want everything clean. Do we?
I'll admit
No.
there are some things I've seen on social media like Twitter where it feels like some people are just like, oh god, multiverse nonsense. I'm so sick and tired of superhero movies and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's great. That's everybody's
Not
gonna
your
react.
movie. Don't go. There's
That's
plenty of
fine.
other movies
No,
out.
I mean, no, and these are critics too, though. So that's fine. But honestly, though, the amount of material I watch that I don't write about versus the amount of material I do watch that I do write about is, it's kind of, it's a weird balance. And trust me, I'm seeing far more movies that are anything but superhero films, anything but, multiverse stuff. And to sit there and complain about yet another one when it's really like you're complaining about getting a big bowl of mixed vegetables and there's one pea in there. And you're really pissed off about that one pea versus, oh, hey, there's also asparagus, there's corn, there's some chopped up potatoes in here. Cool. No, it's that one pea that's just setting you off.
Well, and the other thing is, what we know,
personality.
like,
I get tired of that.
Again, this is, when you hear about these critics who are like upset about, there's a lot of multiverse in this. Yeah, no shit. Like, I don't know where you're, like, when you're coming into it, do you not go, I don't know how they're going to get Deadpool, who's not in this universe, into this universe. It's a real weird thing we have as critics where sometimes when you see things over and over again, yeah, they get repetitive. But sometimes something like this happens and it's refreshing. And it's also refreshing because it is multiverse. But Rich, this is the trick of the movie. It's not multiverse. It's not the MCU multiverse, right? This is a love letter to the multiverse that occurred before we got Tony Stark.
Sometimes they don't want to make the distinction. They don't care to make the distinction. And honestly, this is
those people are wet blankets.
This is the second superhero movie we've had this year, and I've seen roughly 100 films from 2024. I have, colleagues who have seen far more than that. And I'm not saying that they're the ones who are complaining, because they're not. I'm just saying if our experience in the amount of films that we're seeing is anything close to, what these other people who are well-known names within the, within reviewing and the critique world, if they're complaining, I'm like, dudes, you guys got to be seeing 100, 150 movies so far this year. I don't know how you can complain about one or two movies like that, and it's nonsense.
Like I said, I think the interesting thing here is it's well done. The script is sharp. It's razor sharp, right? It's amazing how sharp it is. Some of the jokes, I don't know how. I told you last night on the phone. I don't know how you get this joke by. I don't know how. Like the one joke in particular, I don't know how you get it by with the sheer level of things that are going on behind the scenes. And somehow somebody in the script room says, "Sure, let's go with that joke," and then it gets by, and you're like, "I'm so glad that joke got by because it's the only thing I've been talking about." You know what I mean? And that's the thing. There's a piece of this movie where there will be one thing where everybody might like different things, which is beautiful. It's nice.
Crazy.
It's nice. It's nice though. It's nice. I'm sick of. I think we live in a world right now where it's miserable. This movie's not miserable. It's happy and fun and loud and and just lots of gore and lots of violence and really dirty talk and and just Hugh Jackman grunting "fuck you" is one of the greatest things, the greatest pleasures we can have as comic book and film fans. It's fantastic when he says it, the way he says it. It's so grumbly and amazing. And so just, I jump in, enjoy the ride, have a good time at the movies. Don't fight about stuff and don't fight about shit. Stop acting like the world isn't imploding. Theaters are open. Everybody's happy. Be happy we get movies like Inside Out 2 and this and Twisters, which is we haven't talked about it much because we didn't have a show last week. Twisters is fun, and it reminded me of going to the movies in the 90s. I turned my brain off for 2 hours, watched some really cool special effects and some pretty people, drive into tornadoes. It's just, and this movie is just the same way. It's fun, it's energetic. It has a real sharp tongue. It has a real sharp, lots of things going on meta in its mind of where we are in the universe, in the MCU, both MCUs. And, up until this point, I hadn't really thought about two MCUs, right? That there's the MCU pre-Tony Stark, MCU post-Tony Stark. And I think,
Mhm.
this is a love letter. It's, and it's so touching. The credit sequence, I don't know about you. I was crying, and I don't think I should have been, but I was. But it's also because the song they use is from one of the saddest episodes of ER of all time, where a really cool kid who had a terminal disease died, and basically he was like on the show for like the entire season, and then one day he just wasn't on the show, and then like the doctor who had to deal with him was just, and that's the song they played. So I had
Okay.
that. I had
I've
that.
never watched ER outside of Tarantino's
But
director.
but it's but yeah, but it's like a touchstone thing. It's like a touchstone where it's a great song. It's one of the
Mhm.
best songs of the '90s, right? It's a fantastic song, and it touched me. It hit me. You know, nice that the credit sequence isn't trying to sell something. It's just a really great joke, really amazing, wonderful, tongue in cheek kind of like, look what we did.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. It's an abracadabra movie. It's a movie where you fall in love with like some of these characters over again, and like the actors who played these characters, and just thankful that we have anything at all, right? I mean, and just be happy. Fuck. Let's see. Afternoon Jet, with the cameos they have left the door for new movies. Of course, yes, of course, yeah. I have no problem with that. There's one of the cameos. I told you last night on the phone. Where's the fucking movie? Let's go. Let's go. And where's the fucking movie,
I
man?
I
That poor
tend not to
bastard.
think that will happen, but anything's possible anymore. It seems so.
He's so good. Nah, I don't want to give him away. He's so good. Like that one. That's one of the ones where you're just like, holy fuck, you're not ready. That's what I told my friend last night. You're not prepared. Nobody is. When you go through the doors and then you get hit, smack in the face, and it's fun and it's amazing, and it's gonna make a boatload of cajillion money, and you
Oh,
know
good God.
it's gonna it's and like I said, it deserves it all. Like where that old joke that nerds have where we go, take my money here. With the old, like, what is the Futurama meme?
Yes.
Take my money. Where it's just Fry opening his wallet. Okay, last thing. I always hope for a Gambit movie. Maybe someday. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, he's not a character that's been explored yet, so
Hmm.
we just have to play it by ear. Um, Final thoughts. What are your final thoughts as we wrap up
Um,
this hour long where we just kind of like, we'll
if
get together on a
if you're
Friday afternoon.
if you're predispositioned to not like this movie because you don't like Deadpool, you don't like the other two Deadpool movies, you're kind of the bloom is off the rose for you for comic book films right now. Fine, don't go see it. Find something. There are plenty of other great movies out there to see. But
Also, if you're that
if
person,
you
by the way,
like this kind of stuff, if you love this kind of stuff, this is definitely going to be your jam. Get yourself to a theater. You're probably going to want to go a couple of times over the next week or two or three, and just kind of be kicked back, be prepared to relax and entertained. Because hell, life outside the theater can often be rough. So
yeah,
take
also,
your
what I
enjoyment.
would say, if you are the person that Rich was speaking of, the type of person that is predisposed to hate Deadpool and hate everything and all these other things, and like, you're not going to have a lot of people to talk to for the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're going to be by yourself for a couple weeks. Enjoy the serenity. Enjoy the going to a water cooler and not having anything to say. Like just going up to a water cooler, getting a drink, and walking away. Because Rich and I have talked at least 3 times about this movie. Uh, we're just like, holy shit, and um, that's the magic of it. It's one of those movies where a lot of people put together a lot of money to be able to make a lot of money, and it's literally a license to print money. And maybe these two guys will be working until they're 90. Anyway,
Hmm.
that is it. Have fun. Go see the movie this weekend, or don't. Go see something else. Go see Longlegs. Go see Twisters. Go see Inside Out 2 for that 6th time, apparently, because it's at $1.5 billion. Go see something. Have a good time.
Yes.
And
enjoy
just try to enjoy life. This is one of those life-affirming meta movies where fandom is rewarded, where knowing a lot of stuff and being a nerd, it's not just about having a sock. It's about knowing a lot. And if you have that, it's even better. But thank you for joining us. Now, we made a mistake. On Tuesday, we had said Hellboy was this weekend. We were wrong. The movie we're actually doing is Night of the Comet this Monday on Generation Movie. So please join us on Monday for Night of the Comet. We do a cool movie show called Generation Movie every Monday.
10 p.m. Eastern.
10 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights. I do this show called Loud and Nerdy every Tuesday night at 9. Where else can people find? Now, are you going to do a full spoiler review as well?
I've been going back and forth on that. My partner at Film Buff Online, Bill Gadavasquez, did a slightly more spoiler review, but still fairly spoiler free.
I love Bill's stuff because Bill is like, he's the toned down version of you and I, but he has very set things in his head. He has a very set dynamic of how he wants to work.
Yeah, and his review, just came out about 2.5 hours ago. I'm trying to pull together a piece on everything, all the cameos and Easter eggs and everything in the movie. I've been working on that for a couple of days now. I'm hoping to have that I'm trying to figure out when the best time to schedule that is, actually. I'm thinking like Sunday morning to give some people a chance to see it. And then, I
have a question.
I don't want to be we didn't want to be the site that runs here are all the Easter eggs at 3:05 in the afternoon yesterday.
Can I ask a question? Are you going to go back and watch the movie once just to try to watch what's falling into the void?
I already have been with my second viewing. I was like, do I see anything here, or is it just like, it looks kind of like
I was like, there's a sea craft, and I was trying to figure. Also, oh my god, I'm so sorry. We'll have to talk about it offline because I saw something where I was like, is that what I fucking think it is? And I don't know that it actually is, but it really looked like it. And it was just, it's not a Marvel thing. It's apparently just a cool movie thing. But thank you for joining us today. We'll see you in
like 2 minutes.
Where can people find your shit? All your stuff.
Filmbuffonline.com is the website. We also have a Facebook page, and we can be found at Filmbuff Online on Twitter. I am Filmbuff Rich on Twitter and on Blue Sky. And the other 2 podcasts that I work on are both on hiatus right now. And once those start back up, I'll let you know what's going on with that.
Okay. You find me every Tuesday. Again, we're just quickly going through it because it needs to be professional. You find me Monday nights with my good friend Rich Drees, who's amazing to talk to about movies. You can find me on Tuesday nights with my friends Kyle and Jerry, doing all things nerdy. Kyle just sent me a gift box, and this is one of the sweetest gifts I've ever gotten. An Alfred Hitchcock pop.
Oh wow, cool!
Look at how cool he is. Look at how cool he is in his little grim with his little clapboard. So I have Jerry and Kyle on Tuesday nights at 9 with Loud Nerdy. You can find all of my stuff. Like I do quick reviews, things like that. JW the Movie Guy on Facebook, JW the Movie Guy on Threads, Twitter, Instagram. I luckily there are not a lot of JW the Movie Guys. So thank you for joining us today. We'll see everybody. Have a good time at the movies this weekend. Just have a good time. Have a good time in life. Be a light. Be a happy person who doesn't walk into a room and everybody gets up and leaves. Be happy. Bye. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. We'll see everybody next week for Night of the Comet, one of the great 80s underrated gems. Goodbye, all.